Today, we're diving into the invisible framework that holds up India's skyscrapers, bridges, and dams. We're going to break down the country's brand new concrete code.
Have you ever really stopped to think about that? What is it that actually keeps our buildings and our bridges standing strong? It's not just the steel and concrete, It's really about an invisible set of rules that engineers follow to keep all of us safe.
And in India, that master rulebook for all things concrete comes from this one organization, the Bureau of Indian Standards, or BIS for short. They are literally the ones writing the code on how to build a safer India.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with this unseen rulebook, then get into why it so desperately needs an update. We'll explore the 6 new pillars of design, see how they go way beyond just raw strength, and then we'll wrap up by looking at what this all means for India's future. So let's start with that unseen rulebook. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is arguably the single most important document in all of Indian civil engineering. It's called IS 456. And look, if you're building with concrete in India, this is your Bible. The best way to think about it is like a master recipe book. It tells you exactly what ingredients to use and how to mix them to create a structure that's safe and reliable, whether it's a small house or a massive dam.
Okay, so if we have this great recipe book, why change it? Why mess with a good thing? Well, that brings us to the really urgent need for an update.
Just take a look at this timeline. The last major update to this crucial code was way back in the year 2000. That is nearly a quarter of a century ago. I mean, just think for a second about how much the world, and especially India, has changed since then.
And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? Back in 2000, we were working with a pretty standard set of tools. But today, it's a whole new ballgame. We have advanced, high-strength materials, we're building incredibly complex structures, and we now have to design for extreme climate events. The old recipe just doesn't cut it in today's kitchen.
So this brings us to the heart of the new draft code, a completely new design philosophy based on what they're calling the 6 pillars of design. The draft code introduces this really comprehensive 6-step process. This isn't just a small tweak, it is a fundamental shift in how engineers are required to approach safety. It moves from a simple pass-fail on strength to a much more complete, holistic evaluation. You can think of it like a mandatory top-to-bottom health checkup for every new structure. And every single project, I don't care if it's big or small, has to pass these first 3 essential tests. They are completely non-negotiable. Okay, so pillar number 1 is strength. This is the classic one, the one we all get. Can the building hold the weight it's supposed to? Can it handle all the forces it's going to face without, collapsing? This is the absolute bedrock of safety. Number 2 is serviceability. Now this one's a little different. It's all about how the building performs day to day. You see, a building can be super strong but still be awful to live or work in if the floors vibrate too much, or it visibly sags, or cracks start showing up everywhere. This pillar makes sure the building is actually comfortable and functional for the people inside. And that third universal check, durability. How well is this structure going to hold up against the slow, steady attack of the environment? We're talking rain, heat, pollution, the whole shebang. This ensures a building doesn't just start strong, but it actually stays strong for its entire life.
But here's where it gets really interesting. For certain structures, just passing those first 3 tests, well, it's not enough. The new code brings in a second tier of advanced checks.
So for what the code calls select structures, and you can think of things like important public buildings, major bridges, power plants, 3 more layers of protection are required. This is where we start planning for the what-ifs.
Pillar number 4 is robustness. I love this one. It's all about a building's ability to take a punch. So if there's an accident, a fire, an impact, will the damage be localized, or will it cause a massive catastrophic failure? Robustness makes sure the structure can take a severe, unexpected hit without a total collapse. Next up is integrity. Now this is a close cousin to robustness, but it's really focused on preventing a chain reaction. Think of it like the watertight compartments on a ship. If one part is breached, the damage is contained and the whole ship doesn't go down. Integrity ensures that the failure of one single part doesn't cascade into a total disaster. And the final pillar, number 6, is restoration ability. This is incredibly forward-thinking. It asks a simple question. After the building is damaged, can we actually fix it? It's about designing a structure that isn't just survivable, but repairable, which could save enormous amounts of time and money after some extreme event. Okay, so what does all of this add up to? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the real-world impact of this new blueprint for India's future.
This table sums up the key changes perfectly. Unifying the code under one title? That's a huge deal for efficiency. The 6 criteria, as we've seen, create a whole new standard for safety. But get this, design service life. That's a massive shift, forcing engineers to think about exactly how long a building is supposed to last from day one. And finally, the Bureau of Indian Standards is getting the code caught up with the advanced materials we're actually using today.
And these aren't just abstract ideas, right? They translate into very specific rules. For example, the code now states that any building longer than 45 meters needs special expansion joints to handle the way it grows and shrinks with temperature changes. It's that level of detail that turns this philosophy into real-world practice.
At the end of the day, the purpose is stated right there in the document itself. This revision is a direct response to 2 decades of progress. It's about bringing India's construction rules up to speed with 21st century technology, knowledge, and challenges.
But, and this is really important to remember, this is still just a draft. It's open for public comment, which leaves us with one final big question. As we write the rules that are going to shape India's skyline for the next generation, what future challenges must this final code anticipate and protect us all against?